All right, so on to the next section, and this is called making the crown units. So what we're going to need is I'm just going to show you these. We're going to need our four 7 and 5/8 by 7 and 5/8 inch squares of fabric number 3. So as you can see, there's my little tag. So it's number 3, 7 and 5/8 by 7 and 5/8. So there's my squares. So that's the first thing we need. The second thing we need the 8 fabric number 2. There's fabric number 2 quarter square triangles. So that's what we have here. And last but not least, we need the fabric number 5. So there's our fabric number 5. We need the half square triangles from fabric number 5. So that is what we're going to be working with for making our crown units. Okay, so when we're looking at our little pattern here, this is what they're calling the crown unit. And so the crown unit, we have the larger square of M3. We have the quarter square triangles of F2, our fabric 2. And then our beautiful gold color that I just showed you, the fabric 5, is going to fill in this space here on the crown unit. So let us get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, let me move these guys out of the way. We're going to take, turn it this way. I think I can get them both in there. All right, we're taking this. Here is our fabric 3 square. And we're taking 2 of our quarter square triangles of fabric number 2. And they are going to be sewn right here on the joining corner here. So we've got, here's this one, and it's touching the guy that it's sewing next to. And we're going to sew those on all of the number 3 squares. So that's going to be the first thing we do. And just remember that when we line this up here, slide that back. When we line this up here, we are going to have a bit of a hangover up here at the point. Okay, so do all of them on one side. Then we are going to press to the triangle, and then we'll add the next one on. So let's get this first set added on. Okay, I want to point out something that is in our instructions here. I want you to notice that this is showing left side and right side. The thing is that the reason that they're showing this is because the original pattern fabric that they used actually had words in it. And so you had to be very careful with how you cut that fabric 2, because it had words and you wanted the words to be right side up when you were having them in the quilt. We are not having words, or at least mine does not have words in it. So don't worry too much about this, because all you have to do is you just have to make sure that these pieces, which is fabric 2, is put in at the right place, just like so. And that is going to make all the difference. Unless you're using a stripe or you're using something with words in it here, then you can kind of disregard that little the left side, right side thing. But you can't ignore, you don't get to ignore the way the little diagram is, because it at least shows you what it looks like. And if that's at all confusing, just look up here at this guy right here. So that is the difference. So now that I have got my one triangle sewn on. I pressed my seam towards the triangle. Now we're going to take this one and we're going to add that on, and they are going to be touching up here at the top. So that's going to be our clue that we're doing it the right way. So we're just going to turn this over, and just like on the other one, we're going to make sure our edges are nice and even. And we're going to sew 1/4 of an inch down this side, and we're going to do it to all 4 of our squares. Okay, so here is the first part of our crown that we are putting together. And I have also pressed my seam towards the triangle here. And now we're going to take our half square triangles of fabric number 5, and they're going to be sewn like so. Let me see if I can slide that up a little bit more. So there we go. So you can kind of see. They're going to be sewn on each side of our square and 1/4 square triangle unit that we just made. So again, what we're going to do is we're just going to, I like to find the center of what I'm working on. So I put my points together and give it a nice finger crease there. And then this guy, kind of do the same thing. That's going to be about where that seam is. You guys can see. All right. So then we're just going to take this, line that up, and we're going to sew 1/4 of an inch down this seam. And again, we are going to press to our triangles. So let's get that sewn. All right, so we've got our number 5 triangle put on, and we've pressed to the large triangle, and we're going to do the same thing with this one. Let's get that over there. There we go. So we're going to do all 4 of these, and then we're going to have this really great big unit. So let's go ahead and get this put on here, and we'll be ready to roll. Okay, so here is the first half of our crown unit. And as you can see, the seam allowances have always been pressed to the large triangle. So to these and to these. And we now have the second half of the crown triangle that we're going to put together. Okay, so we've just finished these units here. So now we're going to do this part here. And so what we're going to do is, remember our half square triangles that we've already sewn together. That was the very first step that we did. We're now going to take those, and they measure 10.5 inches. And we are going to create this section right here. Okay, so we're going to take those half square triangle units and we're going to stitch them together, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to press those seams open, and we're going to make 4 of those. So this is what it's going to look like, and then we're going to sew this seam here, and you want to watch and make sure that your points that are down here at the bottom are lined up nicely. So that is our next thing. And we're going to make 4 of these units. Okay, so here are our 2 half square triangles, turning around this way, put together. And so we've got a really very nice looking flying geese. And now we're going to take this piece and we are going to put it with this piece. Just so. Let me make sure that is right. Yes. So when you go to put this together, we're going to have the flying geese pointing towards this block. So I'm going to slide this up a little bit so that you can at least see where they're going to connect. And then you're going to get this pattern here where these guys come together. So we definitely want to nip off those little points because they're in our way and we really don't need them. But what we're going to do is we're going to be matching this point here to this point here. But let's go ahead and nip that off real fast. All right, so we're just going to take this guy. Put down a little bit closer here so you can kind of see. And we're going to put our pin where those two come together, and that's right at the top of our little point there. Move down just a hair more, another little stitch. All right, and then we're going to take this guy and put him and line him up the top of that point. And we're going to move this around, make sure our edges are even. We're going to pin. And we're just going to pin down both sides and then sew this seam allowance at 1/4 inch. All right, so this is our crown unit, and you're matching your points here. And so this is our next thing is all finished, and we will move on to the next piece. So again, this is your crown units, and you're going to be making 4 of these. And when they are finished, they should measure 20 1/2 by 20 1/2. So I hope you enjoyed this one.